All right. Today we're here with Darren Freedom Green at the gala at Princeton. So what brings you here today, sir?
It's a historical event. My big brother Tracy Side Effects is being honored as the Entrepreneur of the Year. It's really a historical event and a place marker for the city of Trenton because in the Chambers, Princeton Chambers 51-year history, he's the first African American to be honored.
Okay. And you know Tracy?
Oh, quite well. Like I said, I alluded earlier, he's pretty much like a big brother to me, but he's one of the most phenomenal individuals I've ever met. He's a great father, man, business person in our area who's always continuously pushing and demanding excellence in business and in life. And the most important part, which he and I always meet at, is he's looking to always give back and make the city better.
Has he helped you personally as far as, you know, entrepreneurship or something else community-wise? Mentoring?
Oh, without question. He's a mentor in terms of economic development, certainly in terms of me being involved in the political game. I made a council run. He didn't have to donate money or anything of monetary issues, but he certainly helped me in terms of understanding the dynamics of business and organic businesses. And that's really, in a small city that's 7.5 square miles, that's what's really going to allow us to revitalize. It'll be small organic businesses that need to be developed, nurtured, and move forward. So at some point in time, we can build from within. Certainly too much business in the city goes out. It's clearly, like if you travel and you see a construction site going on. For the most part, it's always Newark or New Brunswick or Parsippany or Patterson on the door. So a lot of times, most of the revenue I see from the city from constructional basis is always leaving the city. But internally, we have unemployment, we have high crime, we have people who are uneducated. So a lot of what can be done in terms of our revenue and use on our own people is left out. So Tracy has showed me the ins and outs of that, and I'm using that in terms of my political platform.
Okay. And you ran before for councilman, right?
Yeah, I ran for councilman at large.
Okay. Now, as far as since you have that background, do you have any comments about entrepreneurship in Trenton? Do you think it's lacking, or it's
certainly lacking? I think from a mayoral perspective and a council perspective, really from an educational perspective, it has never been fully developed and nurtured in the manner that it should have. It really should start within the educational process, and our young children, our babies, should be educated in the science of financial advisement, financial literacy, the science on entrepreneurialism. Because in an economic climate like you have now, you can go to work on a Tuesday and be told on a Thursday you're no longer needed. So a lot of times our children come out of school and they're conditioned to just go find jobs instead of making and manufacturing jobs for themselves. Understanding business, understanding professionalism, understanding etiquette, understanding the importance of having their own. Another part of that ratio that will help in the city of Trenton, most of the city constituents are renters. They're not owners. And that changes the dynamic of how you think because you're always disconnected from the problem. When you're a renter, you don't feel as though it's your problem. So that's why the city sits in the way that it does, operates in the manner that it does, because people feel like it's not their problem. As an owner, when you're an owner, there is nobody else to call. If you don't get it done, it won't get done, and you'll pay on a twofold. You won't have your person who's living there, and your property will be damaged as well, and there's a penalty to be paid from the law. So you take ownership, which is a mindset itself, and we have to begin to develop ownership mindsets in the city where people take a personal responsibility for everything that goes on, from the cleanliness of their neighborhood to the level of living they're living in, to the substandard state of housing, to the substandard state of education. You want people to demand excellence within themselves as owners. They want to see the city do well. I can define it best by a neighborhood where you go and all the lawns are manicured. That's a standard. So now everybody lives to that standard. So if somebody's out of order, their house gets nasty, the neighbors will speak to it and make that person pull up so they don't make everybody else look bad. That's what has to happen in Trenton, and we're working on it.
Now, how would you, how do you think we can bring about that kind of mindset or mentality?
It's really leadership. People will, when you go and find any organization, any initiative, any area of development, and you see it being very proficient and efficient, you'll always find qualitative leadership there. People who are putting the pieces in place, people who are doing what needs to be done, people who are utilizing the resources and making the people see themselves in the mechanism that sits there. That's what leadership does. It has the ability to take everybody who's involved and make them see their role in what they're doing. I have an excellent way of doing that, and until you do that, revitalization can't occur, because I can be the most charismatic person in the building, but if I don't make people see their role and purpose and what we're striving to do collectively, then we lose out. and we'll always have something good, but internally somebody will always be tearing it up. So that has to be the mindset we interject, and that's done through leadership, because you're consistently and continuously making people understand how important it is for them to do their job.
And in light of you saying that, would you say there's currently a problem with leadership in Trenton?
Oh, without question, without me badgering or beating him up anymore, Tony Mack is a good person, certainly a good brother. Again, I love him. But in terms of you examining the city and the present state of the city, he's not a good leader. And that's just seen by what has transpired. People, again, get killed on his terms, under his tour, and nothing gets said. There's a public safety issue. People are robbed, they're beating, there's shootings every day. There's a clear disconnect in between the police department and the community. There's a clear disconnect in between the educational process and the community, even the children in the community. There's no economic development in sight or even coming. There's an alienation of all elected officials. There's an alienation of people even wanting to invest or deal with Trenton. There's no connecting between the governor who filters down everything in terms of money, allocated resources, and even power, and even attention to the capital city in which his office sits on West State Street, and he never even says Trenton. So clearly, as a leader, which is what you must do by words, ways, and actions, Tony Mack isn't it. But he's not the only problem. We haven't had qualitative leadership in over 20 years. Mayor Palmer wasn't a good leader. He was charismatic. When you examine the educational system and how he started it and how he left, it's a disgrace. If you look at the downtown area, it was a ghost. It was actually, you had movie theaters, the Mayfair, you had corporations down there in terms of Geno's, you had McDonald's down there. You have none of that when he left. And in terms of public safety, in 1 year you lost 31 lives. Gang proliferation's at an all-time high. So people have become conditioned to worship people who they think are qualitative leaders because they don't know what leadership is. Leadership means you take people from one place to another and you elevate the quality of life. The quality of life in Trenton has been poor for some years, and that's based off poor leadership. And that's about to change.
And you see the need for change in leadership.
Oh, without question. Until you change the dynamics of leadership, which will change the dynamics of how people are thinking and moving, you won't change the conditions, because the people will be content with nothing. The schools fail and nobody says a word. Children die in the street and nobody says a word. We just had this weekend, three babies were shot at the Masonic Temple. There was no press conference, there was no outcry from the community, there was nothing said from any elected official other than the mayor. There was nothing said by the mayor, there was nothing said by council. It's almost as if now, when you saw that incident transpire, nobody cares, the community doesn't care, the children don't care, the criminals are saying it's a free-for-all. So leadership is not doing what it's supposed to be doing in the city suburbs.
All right, well, thank you for your time.
Thank you, bro.